It is December 31st, 2019. A spokesperson at Taiwan's Centers for Disease Control was browsing a popular Taiwanese website called PTT. He came across a post showing a WeChat screenshot from a doctor in Wuhan. In the WeChat thread, the Chinese doctor mentioned a strange new virus. The post would give Taiwanese officials early warning of the unfolding events in our strange new world. Most Taiwanese use Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter like all the rest of us. But PTT is a unique part of Taiwan's internet culture. I had no idea it existed before coming here. But if you sneak a peek on people's phones while riding the MRT, you will often see its distinctive code-like font and text-only interface. In this video, I'm going to talk about PTT, how it works, some of its problems, and more. But first, I want to talk a little bit about the Patreon again. If you want to help support the channel, you might want to take a look at the Early Access tier. Early Access tier members get to see a large backlog of videos queued up and waiting to be released to the public. Topics are quite varied and dive into business, science, history, and more. Head on over to the Patreon page and take a look. I deeply appreciate anything you'd be able to sign up for. Thank you, and on with the show. PTT is a bulletin board system, BBS, hosted and administered in Taiwan. It was founded in September 1995 by National Taiwan University student Tu Yi-chin in his dorm room. The name PTT is said to be a reference to Tu himself. He called himself Panda 2 because he stayed up so late at night and that left dark bags under his eyes. So, Panda 2, or PT, was the original idea for the BBS name. But since PT seemed a bit short, he decided to add another T. This PTT later got a backronym, Professional Technology Temple. Now, a BBS is kind of like a precursor to the modern browser-based internet. But instead of using a browser, you would access a BBS back then through a terminal over a phone line connection. Once you log into the server, you can read articles, post comments, and exchange messages with other users. Once you're logged in, you can browse through many different boards. The most popular is called gossiping, but there are boards for stock analysis, the NBA, politics, e-shopping, and more. Someone submits a thread title, some commentary, and a few links. PTT users can then post comments underneath. So yes, like Reddit. In the rest of the world, PBS are largely relegated to hobby trinkets for nostalgia value. But in Taiwan, PTT is widespread, used by youths and elders alike. Today, the website has over 20,000 boards, 1.5 million users, and up to 150,000 concurrent connections at peak hours. The software is open source and run on the National Taiwan University network. At the time of its founding, PTT was just one of several hundred other BBS sites in Taiwan, including the official NTU BBS, Coconut Trees. It was easy to set up. All you needed was a PC running Linux software. Most BBS sites in those years had university students as their founders and, quote, managing staff, end quote, which are like mods. When those founders graduated and moved on to the real world, those BBS servers lost their users and closed down. PTT was different in that their managing staff came from the computer science department and was able to establish a tradition of, quote, passing on. In other words, sending on their managing staff rights to a new generation of university students. And because the majority of the managing staff were actual computer programmers at the best university in Taiwan, they were able to make modifications and improvements to the software infrastructure that other BBS could not. It looks quaint and old-fashioned, but the PTT software itself is quite sophisticated beneath the surface. It no longer connects through phone lines, but instead uses a more modern network protocol called Telnet. It is also quite robust, able to support tens of thousands of users. As any programmer knows, that's hard to do. Early on, PTT's computer science department users entered into a rivalry against Zoo, the BBS used by the neighboring NTU Department of Electrical Engineering. At the start, Zoo had the advantage of 250 megabytes more RAM, befitting for a department focused on hardware. But PTT's staff was unable to accept that hardware was better than software and so strove to write better code. This friendly university competition helped advance PTT's feature functions and capabilities. It thus was the first BBS to achieve 1,000 concurrent users, and soon hosted far more. By the mid-2000s, it had established itself as the BBS of choice for Taiwan's internet-connected youth. Kind of like Facebook, PTT grew out of Taiwan's preeminent university and first spread through its young elites. They continued to browse PTT long after they graduated. But unlike with Facebook, its founder never centralized or corporatized their product. Reddit internet history is riddled with infamous events that users can remember off the top of their head. For instance, there was the infamous time Redditors thought they found the Boston bombers. And there was the time when 75% of Reddit, quote, went dark, whatever that means. PTT has had their own notable big events, times when everyone logged on to the server to follow or track some huge event in Taiwanese history. 5 of the top 10 are baseball events, when the Taiwanese baseball team was competing in the World Baseball Classic, and everyone logged in to the baseball board to watch and follow. But the top 2 events in PTT history, meaning the most people ever on one board, were because of Taiwanese political events. The first took place during the 2018 magistrate and mayoral elections, where over 100,000 people logged on to gossiping to follow the results of the Taipei mayoral election. The second is the historical 2014 Sunflower Movement, when students invaded and occupied the executive yuan. 100,000 went to the gossiping board then as well. How to best describe PTT culture? I think the best metaphor is to draw a connection to Reddit culture. Redditors, with a few exceptions, are often best described as having very left-wing opinions that differ from the mainstream. PTT people can be described as being similar. They express opinions that are critical of the mainstream media and the current ruling government, regardless of who is in charge. They use extremely difficult Chinese, and brand new phrases are constantly being thrown out, challenging Google Translate's ability to keep up. But for the most part, it is about saying shocking anti-mainstream things to get the most internet points, especially in the largest PTT board, gossiping. It is not rational, nor is it logical. More like a market square of people shouting crazy things at one another. Sounds like the internet to me. PTT threads regularly headline the mainstream media, and government organizations often review it from day to day for any breaking events. For many netizens, it is the first source that they go to when it comes to new happenings in the world. And as the anecdote at the start of this video indicates, that can have very real benefits. But also because of this, like as with all social media networks, PTT struggles with misinformation. Because most PTT users are largely anonymous, it can be easy to churn the waters with fake news and FUD. The Wikipedia cites a number of these incidents in their article about PTT. Go check that out sometime. Some of this information comes within Taiwan itself. For instance, public relations firms for political parties, from all sides mind you, commenting and spreading fake news about a candidate during an election year. My favorite is about Taiwan's PhD at the London School of Economics, which did not start on PTT, but was posted and went viral there. To this day, I still get comments from people telling me about a conspiracy to hide the truth of that one. And then there's the more nefarious stuff. Stuff coming from outside the country, where third actors come in and try to undermine confidence in society with false news at critical times. Think Russia and the American 2016 elections. One such incident occurred in 2018 when a PTT message circulated about Honduran officials visiting Beijing, spreading fear about the country severing diplomatic ties with Taiwan. The post was traced to an IP address in Beijing. Occasionally, the Great Firewall of China, might mysteriously unblock PTT at critical times, unleashing a deluge of patriotic users bringing in fresh new perspectives, so to speak. These incidents lead to huge flame wars on the big PTT boards. The flame wars then make the news and further spread their FUD amongst the populace. FUD, by the way, means fear, uncertainty, and doubt, in case you were wondering. You can see how this stuff can quickly get out of hand. In response to a particularly bad spate of misinformation incidents, PTT closed registrations to new users for some time. People can only browse threads, and without an account, they cannot comment. PTT reopened registrations after the elections were over. Misinformation is not only a technical problem. It is also a social problem stemming from a populace unprepared for the internet age and lacking in trust in their government. Fixing it, if such a thing is at all possible, requires not only coordinated efforts from both government and business, but also increased personal responsibility on all of our parts to do our informational due diligence as citizens. For more on this, I recommend reading the work and statements of Audrey Tang, the current Taiwanese minister without portfolio, and a very thoughtful interview. I don't use PTT myself, but I know a lot of people who do. When you ask Taiwanese about it, they might sheepishly say that they read it from time to time, but do not write in it. But I do enjoy the memes that get shared to me at times, though. I am fascinated by this tiny bit of Taiwanese internet culture and hope it continues to persist over time. One of the things that the rise of Google, Facebook, and Twitter have done in this world is to essentially pave over small niches like these to create a single internet monoculture. For all of its drawbacks and issues, PTT is a pretty cool thing. Go check it out someday. Download the app if you can read Chinese. The one you see here is my preference. If not, access it on the web. You can try to use Google Translate to wrangle its wild Chinese wordplay. Likely won't work, but worth a shot. Try regardless, and dive headfirst into this unique bit of Taiwanese internet culture. Alright everyone, that's it for today. If you want more content, feel free to hit up the email newsletter and sign up. If you want to drop a line and say hello, then you can email me too, at john@asianometry.com. I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. I love getting letters from viewers. So, until next time, see you later.